YouTube channel near you.
Welcome to Street Talk. I'm Althea, and I am delighted that you are joining us for today's episode. So I did notice a little jumpiness. I don't know whether it's a satellite thing or some kind of issue. There's no other Wi-Fi happening in the house, so it should be fine. But with stormy weather and windy weather, coming to you from Wisconsin, sometimes the satellite speed gets a little jumpy. So hopefully it'll be okay for the show. Just hang in there and stay with us, and hopefully we'll ride it through. Anyway, for those of you who are new to the show, one of the goals of this show is to create a platform where people can tune in, ask questions live, and talk about whatever topics you want to get a little insight about. I've been a metaphysician for a very long time, professionally doing readings and life coaching for people, probably for almost 45 years now. And so to me, it's really important to demystify a lot of the spiritual stuff and also help to bring it down to earth so that it's able to be applied in everybody's day to day. Because the more in touch we are with spirit, I truly believe the easier navigating the quicksand pits and the hurdles and the milestones of just everyday life. And it also has to build a sense of resiliency and even gratitude at the other side of things, you know, when you see where you wind up after you come out through a challenging time. Pardon me. So the format for the show is, for these first few minutes, I'm just going to talk about what's happened since the last show, what's happening, you know, what's on my mind and heart, what things have occurred to me to share. I've said a little prayer. I've asked Spirit to inspire, to prompt me to take things in different directions. I pulled a few angel and oracle cards and tarot cards to share messages with everybody, and we'll do that after I share some insight. And then I open it up to the chat. And if you're watching live and you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat. Put it in all caps. It helps it stand out a little bit so I can see it. And if there's same thing, if there's a specific topic or area that you'd like me to talk about a little bit or share whatever I know about it, I'm more than happy to do it. This is your hour, right? This is, or our hour, to kind of make sure we're helping each other, you know, shine our light and share our love and figure out what are our gifts. You know, so many people have spiritual gifts and they're like, do I? I don't know I have one. And once you start understanding the nature of some of the gifts, you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize I had that. And that's pretty cool. Excuse me. So this week, what's been going on this week? So still dealing with some of the physical challenges, having a lot of emotional things happening, right? But that's very normal this time of year, right? It's a little darker out because it's winter, or just about to become winter. We're coming up on a lot of different holidays. And for many of us, you know, that have most of our family or relatives on the other side of the veil, it can be a very challenging time, missing folks. Hey, Roger, thanks for joining us. Really challenging time to kind of figure out how to get through. And last week we talked about paring back and, you know, trying to figure out, do you really need to put that much pressure on yourself to get everything done? Or can you modify and really be kind and kinder and more gentle with yourself and say, you know, maybe I don't need to put up 100 strings of light. Maybe 10 will do. You know, maybe I don't need to get out every single ornament and decoration I have. Maybe I just pull out my favorite ones this year. Maybe I only send Christmas cards to people that have sent cards to me in the last 3 years versus everybody I might know and have an address for, right? So Yes. And again, for anybody who's just tuning in, if you have personal questions to ask, you can put them in the chat, put them in all caps, and then towards the second half of the show, I'll go through all of that. Or it won't even be the second half. It'll be sooner than that, because I'm going to talk for a few minutes about what happened during the week. Then I'm going to share the messages from Spirit for everybody, and then I'll open up the floor and we can start to chat. And the nice thing, somebody just asked if they have to pay me. No, you don't have to pay. Showing up, liking, sharing, following, doing all those nice things on social media. That's the karmic payment for any information you get, for any readings that may come through. I'm doing this because this is my passion. It's also my purpose. I've been a metaphysical teacher and reader and healer for, like I said, over 45 years. I'm in a part of my life where I'm getting downloads, and my instruction is to share it, write books, get it out there, do podcasts, get it out there. I'm going to start doing Zoom workshops and price them affordably, because I've taken a few and people are like, oh, well, if you don't charge, $500 or $1,000 for a couple week-long class, people don't perceive the value. And I'm like, well, that might be true. And there's a big difference between having something be free, where people don't necessarily see a value in it, and charging $500 or $600 for a couple week class, right? There's a big area in between. And I would rather have 100 people in a Zoom class and have them all pay $50 than have 10 and charge them $500. That's just me, because I think it's important to get the information out there, and being of service. I get a lot of great satisfaction knowing that I'm making a difference. I've shared it before. I don't have children of my own. And so my legacy is the impact that I have on other people's lives. I just realized my scarf that I was going to wear is sitting behind me instead of on me. Well, there you go. That looks a little bit more festive. Yeah. So, case in point, right? You can plan the best things you want, right? And then after that, sometimes just life happens, and I got busy with setting things up and picking the cards and saying my prayer and getting ready. And then I totally forgot. And I was just sitting there. And until I've been looking at the camera, not at myself in the picture. And until I just glanced down, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's sitting there. Easy enough to fix. No big deal. I'm not here to be the fashion plate. I'm here to serve you in whatever ways I can. And yes, Maria, you can ask a question that needs a pendulum to answer. I actually have 2 pendulums at the ready. I have a rose quartz one for any emotional or matters of the heart type of issues. And then I have this one that's like way cool. It has pretty much every stone in the order of the chakras, all the way up. And so colors of the rainbow going up it. And the beads on the top of it also in that same kind of orientation. So it's a much more multi-purpose one. So yeah, I'm more than happy to answer questions with a pendulum if that's what people prefer. And again, make sure you put things in all caps for later, because it'll make it pop out when I go to do that section. All right. So what's happened this week? So there were 2 things, and I'm going to share both the negative perception as well as the positive blessings, because I think it's really important to be real and understand that things are not always crappy and horrible and challenging, and things are not all with us in humanity right now. Most people I know, myself included, are having crazy challenges, whether they're health, financial, emotional, you name it. And they also have tremendous blessings and so many things to be grateful for. So I think I shared with you last week that a friend had passed, a friend's brother actually passed, and I'm friends with the family. And these are friends from church, and they have kind of taken me into the fold, and I've been one of their family members. So I've been invited to their home for different holidays and occasions when it was literally just their family and me as the only outsider. Well, when my friend's brother died, and I knew him quite well, I thought, well, of course I would be invited to the funeral or the whatever the services were. And, then I saw on Facebook that, that his request was that it was immediate family only. And I still thought, well, they consider me family. And I was so hurt that, I understood on one hand that, okay, immediate family means, this little core, but my heart had been with them. And I'm like, well, am I family or not? Am I really in this inner circle of your family, or am I still considered just a friend or an outsider? And so I was kind of thinking about that a little bit. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to choose to feel bad about this. They were trying to honor his wishes. And perhaps if they did invite me and somebody else found out about it, maybe there were other really close friends to the family or neighbors that knew them all well that might have felt offended or hurt if they found out, like, okay, it's either immediate family or it's not. So I started looking at it a different way, and that helped a lot. And that's something I would challenge anybody who's going through a crisis or a tough time to do, or especially when it comes to feeling like your feelings hurt or maybe feeling slighted by others. Try to step back from it and ask yourself, well, is there a different way I can look at this where it's not personal about me and there's really something else going on, right? And when you do that, it can take some of the sting away. And then you can also get some insight or information from spirit that goes, like, helps you go, oh, okay. All right, I get it. I'm okay with this. So that was that. Then on Sunday at our church, at one point in the service, people can share different revelations or insights or whatnot. And this one person got up and shared how when she was younger, she was extremely poor. And the family had a 9-month stint where the dad was out of work and the mom was working as trying to take care of the family and whatever odds and ends they could. But essentially there was no money coming in for about 9 months. They had exhausted all their savings, and it was coming up on Christmas holiday. And the parents had told the kids, get ready, just to prepare you emotionally. There's really not going to be much, if anything at all this year. Just, what the situation is. And the kids kind of understood. And then about 3 days before Christmas, the doorbell rings. They hear a scurry of feet and see somebody running away and the car pulling away. And when they open the door, their entire front porch was filled with presents. And she started crying as she was telling the tale of what it meant to her family that members of their community, their church, people that knew them from different social organizations had all pitched together to make sure that they could have a nice Christmas. There was a bag of food even with stuff to make a Christmas meal. And so, she said one of the things she tries to do now that she's older, has kids of her own, and things are financially okay, is to always find, is there a family that could need some help with finding presents or, paying their bills or finding food to eat. And so hearing her story inspired me. Y'all know that I've been doing some auction flipping kind of stuff where I go to an auction, I bid on stuff to get as a good bargain. I take it home, I go through it, I clean it up, I organize it, and then I find other places to flip it and sell it. So I have a workshop across from the house that is just filled with all kinds of random stuff. We had kids' books and adult books and toys and stuffed animals and jewelry and bedding and you name it. Just imagine anything that you might find at a household estate sale or auction, right? So I basically shared with a couple of the ladies, hey, if you know of a family that's kind of suffering, and is not going to have a nice Christmas because they just don't have the money this year, or they just need different things, please come and do free shopping at my place. You can just come to the workshop. Anything that you need, you can just take for, within reason, of course, for gifts for your kids or gifts for your wife or your mom or whoever, right? As well as if there's things you need, if you need blankets or quilts or cookware or whatever. Like I said, if I have one, I have 10 of almost everything sitting across at the workshop in the process of sorting them and cleaning them and flipping them. So a few days ago, a friend called and said, hey, my nephew is out of work, and he's disabled, and he's living with us temporarily. His fiance is living, or I guess common law wife is living with their kids, because with their parents, because of the whole situation. They had been renting with a woman, an older woman, and the older woman died and didn't let any of the family know that it was her wishes that this family could continue to stay there and pay rent. And so they suddenly got kicked out when the woman died. So they're kind of scrambling and looking for a place to stay and stuff to do. So this is the person that, she said, can he come and pick out a couple of toys and stuff for the kids, and maybe a couple things for the kids to give to the mom? And I'm like, absolutely, come. So I was thrilled, because I love making people happy. And I felt like, oh, okay, this is a way to pay it forward. And hearing this woman's story just touched my heart so much that I'm like, I have to do something. I have to do something also with the blessings I have. And since I have, anyway, so they showed up today, and they went shopping, and they filled up a couple boxes full of stuff. And that was pretty cool. And, I told the friend, I said, I really need some help with this auction stuff. I've been hoping to find somebody who might want to be a partner with me, somebody who has a pickup truck or a trailer, strong enough to help me go pick stuff up when I win the bids at the auction, help me bring it, carry it back here, sort it, organize it, going forward. I'd love to have a partner, because it's just very overwhelming for me to do it by myself. And the young man was like, I would love to do that. In fact, my girlfriend, who's going to be my wife, and I've talked about wanting to do that kind of business for years. And I was like, well, isn't that a small world? And so then we're walking back across to the house, and my friend says to me, do you happen to have a room for rent? And I said, well, not in the house, but I have this whole facility, multiple buildings, including a training room that I turned into a big party room with couches and a big TV and refrigerator, microwave. It's like a bachelor pad. And she's like, oh, well, my nephew's looking for a place, and he's quite handy with maintaining all kinds of equipment, and he loves to do handiwork stuff. And, he has a whole bunch of stuff in storage right now that he's paying. And you have all these empty rooms and buildings that he could put stuff in, and he could pay you for the storage and then just be your live-in caretaker of the property. And I was like, what an answer to my prayers. Because on two levels, I've been praying, one, for somebody to want to help me with the auction business, because that's helping to bridge the gap for me between my Social Security and the rest of my bills right now. Because I don't make a lot of money doing my metaphysical stuff yet, because I'm rebuilding my whole brand, everything, since I moved here to Wisconsin. It takes a little while to rebuild. So I thought, well, okay, that auction stuff helps to bridge the gap, but I wanted somebody to help me do it. And then I needed somebody to help me take care of this huge property, but I couldn't really afford to pay somebody. And I have this space, and he needed a place to put his stuff. And he doesn't care if it's a bachelor pad kind of place. It's like, it's not forever. And it'll give him a chance to save up money so that he and his girlfriend, soon to be his wife, can move into a place. So I sat back and I almost cried, because I was like, wow, this is like the best Christmas gift. Win, win, win. Answered prayers all around. They're praying to find a place for him to live and something he could do to make some extra money. I'm praying for somebody to come help me with making money with this business, as well as to help take care of my place. And I'm like, wow. So, yep, I could have focused on all the negative stuff that have happened, but this blessing now, how will it work out? Will there be little bumps in the road? Will there be challenges? Of course, of course, of course. And I'm so grateful the way things have started to unfold. And it also distracted me away from the pain and the other challenges and the things that are going on. So for me, what I want to kind of explain, and one of the cards that came up, I was laughing when I flipped it, and you'll see when we get there, is sometimes our prayers are answered in the most unexpected and rapid way And other times it seems like we can be praying and asking for help and healing for months and years and decades sometimes. And you're like, hello, is anybody hearing me up there? Wherever. Hello. Right. So we can't really judge the merits of what we're doing based on how fast our prayers are answered. And a lot of times those prayers that aren't answered for a long time, again, build character, resiliency. And in hindsight, we look back and say, oh, well, that's why I was going to rent out that facility to either a dog business, to either do training again, or to possibly breed dogs, or maybe to some, group that wanted to hold events because I have a big meeting room over there. Eventually, I'd love to turn it into a retreat center. But in the short term, every time I tried to do something, it felt like brick wall. No, that's not right. And now if this does go through, now I understand why, because it's going to be a tremendous blessing, not only for me, but it's going to be a very big blessing for this young man and his family to have something this convenient, affordable, somebody willing to work with him at whatever he's able to do, versus, judging him for his disability and saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't work with you. I look at people's light and what can you do, right? Try to be more positive, not look at what somebody can't do. All right. So this week to me was chock full of learning lessons. Oh, and the other learning lesson, and I don't know if it's true or not, but if I hadn't acted with that pay it forward mentality after hearing that woman's story and mentioning, hey, open up my stuff, come shop, come do, whatever you want, if you need it, come, I'm happy to share it. Don't worry about paying me. This is just my gift. If I hadn't opened up my heart and shared, I maybe never would have heard about this young man and what he needed. Certainly my friends hadn't ever been to my property on the business side to see all the space I had and the way it was set up. And who knows, maybe I would never have made that connection and he would have been still searching and I would have been. And so sometimes it's that willingness to be giving of ourselves that opens the floodgates for blessings to come back to us, right? I know I've heard it said, and I've shared it before. If you're really depressed, go be of service. Go to a soup kitchen, go to a food pantry, go help other people that are probably in a worse situation than you, because it will fill you with a sense of gratitude for what you do have, as well as help you bless the lives of somebody else, which then karmically helps to kind of grease the wheels for other blessings to come for you. And it's not that we do it because we want those other blessings to flow. We do it because we're inspired to, but there is a tremendous benefit that comes from, I'm sorry, my dog is acting strange. What's the matter, Flash? Lay down, buddy. Can you lay down? Be a good boy. Yeah, it's okay. You're okay. Lay down. He's we've shared this before. His back legs keep giving out on him, and lately, as he's walking, he doesn't realize sometimes he's actually pooping. And so he was standing. Wait, no, come here. Where you going, Bubba? Lay down, sweetheart. Well, if I have to clean up a mess afterwards, so be it. All right. He's giving me that look like yeah, I get it, buddy. All right, do what you got to do. But he's 13 and he's been having trouble for a while, poor boy. But he does his best. He tries to let me know if there's something going on. But, oh, well. Anyway, so let's get to the messages for today. So the first message from the angels is divine love. And I like that one. It says, open yourself to the spark of light in the core of your heart. Totally accept the complexities of life and the simplicities of creation. Embrace everything and everyone. Oh, and by the way, these messages, if you're tuning in live tonight, yep, they're for you. If you're tuning in tomorrow, a week from now, or a year from now, guess what? They're also for you. It's the weirdest thing, but I know it works from spirit, that whenever you're hearing the messages that I'm sharing now, they're meant to touch your heart, inspire you, give you some comfort, give you some guidance, for all of us. Okay, the next card was the card of Cupid. And I thought this was interesting because this is the angels are saying, we send great waves of love into your heart, to your mind, awakening your love for life itself. Your clear decision to accept and enjoy love has triggered this reawakening. Allow yourself to spontaneously celebrate love in all of its glorious aspects and forms. So, Cupid, when we think of Cupid, we think of the romantic love, of course. And definitely, this is a time of year where anyone who's single is thinking, is there going to be love in my life? Will it ever come? Will it ever come back if you had it and lost it for whatever reason, right? But this is also that love, and it follows. So interesting. The first card was divine love, and then Cupid, which is more of love in general and all the different ways it can be applied. And so that was it. And then the third card, so again, partly the reason I'm laughing, patience. Be patient about that love of your life showing up, right? Trust the higher forces of life to know what is best for you. And remember that when you are asked to wait, you are being prepared for something even better than you expected. So I want to hit on that a little bit before I jump to the tarot cards, because I know that it's very, very true that if you attracted somebody to you right at this moment, they're going to be a certain way. But let's say you spend the next 6 months really working on yourself, becoming more and more aligned with your soul's purpose, happier, more peaceful person, more prosperous person, somebody who is becoming better and better every day, becoming or striving to become the best possible version of you that you can become. Well, 6 months from now, after doing that and working on that, you're going to attract an even better match for you, or a better caliber person. You're going to attract somebody who's also been working on themselves. So sometimes the delay and being patient is actually a blessing, because the person that you would attract right now meets you at one vibration. But the person who will meet you after you've been working on yourself and improving yourself is going to be at a higher vibration and a better fit for you overall for what you want in your life. So sometimes that patience is actually a blessing. All right. And then I picked 3 tarot cards for what's going on now, in the recent past, right now, and near future. So in the recent past, for a lot of us, we feel like our world's a little upside down. We feel like things are a little crazy, out of balance, hard to manage things. We either have, the challenges in the home life, challenges in the work life, challenges in relationship, challenges with money, challenges with health. And so there's been a lot of like, wow, there's so much to work on kind of energy. Then in the now, there is this sense of, I just want to get away. How can I get away? How can I end all this? How can I, shift gears? And the key to the 7 of Pentacles is restoring balance is what helps you be able to travel, to go places, to move out of different situations. And so the more balanced and clear you are in the now, the better you set up your future for success. And then the last card here, this is the Wheel of Fortune, and it was reversed. And this is just what happened to me today, right? And what can happen to anybody. The Wheel of Fortune, when it's upside down, says the fortunes that come, they can be the disasters, the bad fortunes, or the good fortunes of the windfalls. Out of the blue, when the Wheel of Fortune is upside down, it says these things will come to you out of the blue. Be ready for them. So prepare yourself for any of the worst case scenarios and open yourself to receive the blessings, the opportunities, and the best case scenarios, right? Because all of that is coming. And then when I cracked open my book, and this is Portal to Potential, available on Amazon. Feel free to check it out. I opened up to a page that talks about these are all inspired writings and messages from Spirit of things to ponder, to help us become that best possible version of ourselves, to feel more in alignment with our soul's purpose, and just to have a happier, more meaningful life in general. That's what this book was meant to do. So I opened up and it said, there's a couple of points. It says, ask for help when you need it. Be honest with yourself and with others. Know that part of the reason we live in a society and community with each other is because we were never meant to go through life alone. We are supposed to be here for each other. Pain is sometimes a message to do something different, to start something new, or to stop doing something which is no longer useful. Remember the importance of self-care. Be sure to get enough sleep, exercise, and proper nutrition. Make time for social, spiritual, and emotional recharge. Your body, mind, and spirit are interconnected. So be sure you are balanced in each aspect of your life. Prepare until you are as ready as you can be. The better you are prepared, the less you will ever have to fear. When you do this, a sense of peace and joy will be present for you despite what is happening in the world around you. Okay, so those are the messages that have come through. So I hope that there was something in there that rang a bell for you and resonated with you, so that you got a little bit of comfort or some guidance, or you understood that, we're not alone. We're not supposed to be alone. We are supposed to be here for each other. Okay, so I'm going to go back through the chat here and see what questions I'm going to see. All right, so I see one. All right, so first question I'm seeing, and this is from, it looks like Aisha. When and how will I meet my life partner? What do I see about him? Lay down, buddy. Be a good boy. All right, so first I should probably clarify, especially if it's somebody new that's on the feed. I'm not a fortune teller. I can read people's energy, and I can tell you this is what's around you now. This is the energy you're putting out for, and you have free will and free choice to make different decisions. If you like the direction your energy's going, you can keep on. If you don't like where it's looking like it's going, you can make changes, right? I do not believe that anything is preordained necessarily. I think there are some major patterns and agreements we make on soul levels that say, hey, let's find each other in this lifetime. Or, hey, if I get to this point and I need something and you need something, let's find each other and help each other. But I don't think that everything is so scripted that, okay, you're supposed to meet a guy named Thomas. He's going to be 34. And he used to be a doctor, but he got disgruntled with the field, and now he is a musician. Like, okay, I don't think it's that specific, right? So when you ask, when and how will I meet my life partner? So what I feel for you is that, Aisha, what I feel is that this is somebody who's going to be in your circle. So either your work circle or your extended social circle. I also feel like you can help yourself by going to different like adult ed classes, like go take a French class or French cooking class, a dance class. Putting yourself out there is a way to help. And this applies to anybody who is looking for a partner. Don't just think like he's just going to show up on my doorstep. He's going to ring the doorbell one day and say, oh, special delivery, I'm here. It's not going to happen that way. Well, if it does, boy, would that ever make a great movie, right? But for most of us, we have to put ourselves out there. We have to keep our eyes open. We have to trust our intuition. We have to also be willing to look beyond appearances. For so many people, and it's the way that we're genetically wired, because as a species, the survival of the fittest means women look for the strongest, healthiest, looking men. And from the man's point of view, they're looking for the beautiful, nurturing women, right? That kind of attraction is kind of hard coded into us, which is why so many attractions happen on that physical level. And so many marriages don't last because once the looks fade, they're like, oh, I have to deal with like the personality and all the, are you really my friend or not? And are you somebody I want to be with after the looks fade? So what I always tell people is look for the energy, become great friends before you take it to any next level, and make sure you have some interests in common. So, yeah, you know what? You might work with the person. You might be in the same bowling league or art class or dance class or sports enthusiast fan club. Those are the kinds of things that will help you. What I see about your specific life partner, you'll have so many choices. The main thing I feel that's important about him is he's somebody that shares a common interest, and you'll meet him from that place of common interest. You have the free will and free choice. Like I said, it's as far as my understanding goes, it is not preordained. And when you say, oh, well, there's somebody who is my twin flame or my soulmate. Yep. We have lots of people that are soulmates that were not meant to be lovers in this lifetime again. Because remember, sometimes we go through this whole spirit world, earth plane experience multiple times, intentionally wanting to experience different roles. And so, yeah, that might be that soulmate, that person that just knows you better than anybody else, that you trust with your life and your deepest secrets, might be your best friend and not your husband or wife. It might be a sister or brother. It might be somebody who comes into your life for a season, makes that great connection. You're both solid, and then goes off and back onto a different path again. It doesn't mean that, oh, I lost it. No, you'll never lose a soulmate. You have that connection forever. So just wanted to clear that up too. All right. I hope that helped some. All right. Let's see. Do I answer pendulum questions? Yes. Okay. So you want me to use a pendulum for this? Okay. So I will do that. All right. So, Maria is asking, I'm wondering how many kids you see me having biologically, and she's 33. Okay, so let's see. That kind of feels like a matter of the heart. So I'm going to use the pendulum. And so this gives us a little opportunity to do a quick little primer on how pendulums work. So when you have your pendulum, you see there's a certain end to it. There's some place that you can hold. I actually just took a little workshop with somebody who said, don't swing it as big as it can go, hold it that far. She's like, hold it a little bit closer so it's clearer and can feel your energy. And so you hold that. And the very first thing you do is you ask it or program it and say, show me a yes. Okay, so there's my yes. And then you could stop and then you could say, okay, now show me a no. And so, and that's going to go in a different way. Okay, so you can, once you have it programmed and you know what's your yes, what's your no, then you can ask a specific question. Now, before I actually answer this with the pendulum, again, I'm going to give you the same little spiel that I just shared a minute ago, which is you have free will and free choice. So let's say the pendulum comes up and says you're going to have 3. Okay. After having 1, you might go, I'm done. I don't want to go through this again. If we're going to have more kids, we're going to adopt. Okay. That's your free will and free choice. So what we can ask Spirit, specifically with the pendulum right now for you, Maria, is what is your current programming around you? What is that set up for? And obviously, at any point in time, you and your soul have the ability to renegotiate and say, yep, I want more. Yep, I want less. And it can go through. So, okay, so we're going to ask. All right, so is it 1 or more? That's yes. Is it 2 or more? That's a yes. Is it 3 or more? That's a no. So it's looking like 2. Okay. Now, again, you have free will and free choice. You can do all kinds of actions of freezing some of your eggs and doing IVF to improve your chances later on if you don't get pregnant naturally. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do to kind of force the hand. But right now, the energetic programming around you is for two biological children. Okay. All right. And again, you have free will, free choice. If you've already had 2, that's what the programming was. You always have the right to override whatever the programming is because you have agency and free will and free choice. We all do. We have agency and free will and free choice. I, as a youngster, thought I was going to have a huge family. Both of my grandparents, my grandmothers in particular, each one came from huge families where they had 10. They were one of 10 brothers and sisters, children to their parents. 10. They each had fairly large families, 4, 5 kids on one, 5 on the other, right? And so I love my grandmothers and got to spend a lot of time with them. And so growing up, I always thought, I want to have a big family too, Nana. Yeah, let's have 10 kids, right? Just like you did, just like part of your family. And then as I got a little older, it was like, oh yeah, I want to have 4 or 5. And then as I got a little older, it was, 2 or 3. And then as I got older, it was like, well, let me find the man first and then we'll figure it out, right? It was one of those, my desire changed as I got older. And then I had an angel experience one night, many years ago, where I was given the choice of, do I want to be a mom and have biological kids and have an amazing, fulfilling family life, or would I forego having biological children of my own in order to have what turned out to be an exceptional life of traveling, of meeting people all over the world and having a positive impact on the lives of thousands and thousands of people over the course of a 45-year career. And so what I had said to God at that time and to the angel that appeared to me was, I will let this be God's choice and God's will. Don't make me make that decision. Whatever serves the divine plan the best, that's what I will do. What I do ask is, if I'm not going to be a biological mom, please take that desire away from me so that I don't live with regrets later and say, oh, wow, I'm a failure as a woman because I didn't have a baby. I wasn't a mom. I didn't raise one in this lifetime. And I had not had regrets until recently, until I started thinking about legacy. And I thought, oh my goodness, I don't have anybody to leave my stuff to. I don't have anybody to teach one-on-one and really pour myself into to make sure they carried on, my gifts or my legacy and let them become their gifts and their legacy. And so from that perspective, I regretted not having biological children, but I also felt tremendous gratitude that I've been able to touch the lives of so many people and travel to 30 countries around the world and most of the states of the US and meet people from all walks of life and touch people in really deep and profound ways and help them through some of the hardest parts of their life. If I was raising my own family, I would never have done that. I may have touched a few people here and there, but not the degree that I've been able to by foregoing having my own family. And I don't know whether it's a cultural thing or just the way I was raised. But if I had, as a woman, I could not have balanced both. Either one of them would have suffered. So I would have either poured myself into my family and my metaphysical career would have been, or I would have poured myself into my metaphysical career at the detriment to my family. And that would have made me feel terrible. Right. So, I left it in God's hands and I had to see the wisdom of it. And now I get to be the adopted aunt and grandma and, for my friends' kids. So I still have children in my life, and I still have ways to enjoy that sense of family, but it's a little different than your own blood. So there's always trade-offs, guys, and we have to think about where our blessings are and what are we going to, be patient about, and what are we going to say, no, I'm going to make this happen. I have free will and free choice. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to force the issue. I'm not just going to wait to see and allow things to happen at Spirit's time frame or God's time frame, or however you want to think of it. I'm going to force the issue. Little hint for you there. If you force the issue, then you have to accept the consequences of that versus being able to be a co-creator of it. Okay, next question. Hold on here. This is, where'd you go? I lost it. Hold on. Oh, I see. I have to shut that one off first. Yeah, I know I'm not the most technical, but that's okay. I have other gifts to make up for that, right, guys? Thanks for hanging in there. Okay, so this is Chris asking, okay. Could you provide any insight as to the outcome with the person bullying me over a parking spot? Okay. This is kind of an interesting thing. People that are bullies, I have found that if you stand up to a bully and show them that you're not going to let them get under your skin, or you're not going to let it bother you, or you basically, again, stand up to them, they go away. They find somebody else to bully, or they stop bullying. So if this is sort of like assigned parking at a company, and this has traditionally been your spot, and they're either annoyed at it or they try to take it, then I would basically escalate things and say, like, either to them directly, or I would get assistance from a supervisor or manager. If this is somebody who is harassing you because you're handicapped and you get to park in the handicapped or disabled spots, and they're making you feel bad about it, then again, you stand up to them and you say, well, I wish I didn't have to park in the handicapped or disabled spot, which is closest to the building. I'll trade places with you. You want to give up your good knees for that parking spot? I'd make that trade in a minute. I say that all the time to anybody who might be thinking about it. I'm like, trust me, I wish I didn't have to ride the little e-cart at the store. And it's one of my pet peeves when I see totally healthy people that are just maybe a little tired getting on that. Meanwhile, I can't really walk very well without a cane or walker, and I need that little e-cart to zip around the store. And I'm like, okay, God bless you. I hope you never truly need to use it like I do, and I'll wait for the next one to become free, right? You have to kind of bless them and release it. So I guess, the insight there is, for whatever reason, this person is feeling like it's a way for them to feel a little bit more self-important by trying to bully you over this spot. And so again, with bullies, taking them down a peg or just walk away. Is it really that important? So is there another spot you can go into that is equally fine? And are you being stubborn out of principle and say, oh, it's the principle of the thing? Well, you know what? Wars have been started over the principle of the thing. If more people just forgave and move on, or said, it's really not that big a deal, it's not worth going to battle about, you can have it next, right? So I guess I would have to know a little bit more about the situation, Chris, to give you a very specific response. But just as far as a generalized one, I've found that, again, with bullies, standing up to them, getting help from authorities if you need to, or if it's just not worth it and you're able to kind of walk away or change the narrative, don't engage. Because if you don't respond to a bully either, if you just kind of like ignore them, that's not very satisfying for them. It's like if somebody's yelling and screaming at you and you don't engage in the fight and you're just kind of looking at them, they're going to be like, what's wrong with you? And eventually they'll get frustrated and go away, and they'll find somebody else who'll play that game, right? So being detached, being loving, being kind, don't get sucked into the drama that somebody else is trying to create for you. And understand bullying, bullying can escalate. Here in the US, there's road rage, right? Or people that literally have crashed their car into somebody else because they're waiting to get in a parking lot. And the irony is it's around the holidays a lot of times that the parking malls, the shopping mall parking lots are filled. And so people are waiting for somebody to leave. And so I've seen this happen where somebody has their blinker on because they just saw somebody get in there. And as the person pulls out, they block the person that had the signal light waiting for the space. And some other car scoots right in and steals that space, essentially, jumps it. And the person that was waiting there all that time is furious. And they literally ram their car into that car as their way of going, screw you. I was waiting for this. If you're going to be that way. And I'm like, really? You're going to cause an accident because some jerk took the spot you were waiting for? Okay. There's other ways to handle this, right? So don't give in to the drama. Don't stoop to that level of negativity. It's really important. It's really important in order to let somebody process, let them vent, let them do whatever they not have to do, but just don't get sucked into it. Don't become a victim of the bullying. Either stand up to it, walk away from it, ignore it. Find a plan B. And so if it has to do with a parking spot, again, if it's an assigned spot that's for you, go to management. If it's a handicapped spot that should be there and he's making you feel bad, make him feel worse, and or maybe he doesn't understand, some disabilities are not very physically evident, educate him or ignore him. So those are the three things that hit me there. Okay. All right. So other questions. Okay. All right. So I see that there are, there's a couple questions that weren't in caps. So let me just kind of read through. Okay. So somebody is asking about an online arranged marriage proposal. Okay. So understand culturally, in different places, arranged marriages are still a thing, right? And so sometimes people don't necessarily meet. And if you're part of that culture and that's something that you want and you choose and you say, yep, I agree, to that, then, there should be no judgment. That's your choice. If you're going to honor that arrangement, you can go. Now, okay, I see. So you're asking about the energy of a specific person. I'm not going to put the name up there because that's not fair to them in case somebody sees this later. So I'm just going to put this in. What are his energies look like for you? Okay. So I see the name of the person you put there. I feel like this person is very hardworking. He's kind. He feels like a good man, and he would be a good fit and match for you in most of the ways that are important, as far as a provider and somebody who would maintain a lot of the cultural traditions that you like. I do feel that for your energy, where you want to express yourself more creatively, or where you kind of want to not necessarily go against traditions, but where you want to do some things that are a little bit, I'm just going to say a little bit outside the box, because he is so traditional, there might be a little bit of friction or pushback on that. But as long as you stay within that box, it feels like there's great chemistry. It feels like great friendship. It feels like a great partnership. You would be a very supportive, loving partner for him in his business. He would be a very good provider and a source for pretty much anything that you wanted for the home and the family life. So yeah, just understand, when you make a decision to accept a tradition-based marriage, you're also then agreeing to certain conditions that are in there. So if there are things that are, like I said, slightly outside the box of that tradition that you're interested in, just make sure you have an open conversation. Make sure that you have an open conversation with him so that he understands and agrees ahead of time that, oh yeah, like you could go take a language class if you wanted to go learn a different language, or you could, go to a book club with the ladies one night a week, and he'd watch the kids that one night a week once you have children, etc. Right? So it's that kind of thing of just make sure you clear the air and you're both on the same page before it gets too far down the road. But I definitely feel, profound friendship. And one of these things that I'm hearing Spirit say is people can learn to love each other and have love develop and blossom out of a really strong friendship. And so if part of the reason with the tradition that you're marrying for out of tradition is, honoring and respecting the family and the family's wishes, and, everyone's trying to be dutiful, and that sort of thing. It's like, okay, you can learn to have tremendous love and romance that stems from that shared position of love of tradition, willingness to do your duty, to follow the family's wishes, to be the dutiful daughter or son, that sort of thing. So as long as there's enough common bond and a deep friendship, love and romance can absolutely follow from that, because there's so much that you already share. It's not like, you've been told, fly to this place, you'll meet your groom at the altar, we'll introduce you 5 minutes before the wedding ceremony. You have a chance to meet him, get to know him, interact with him, be friends with him, even if it's online and remote. He may be in another country, but you'll still get to talk to each other and get to know each other and become deep friends with each other before you make that decision. But just understand, it's so important that you are very honest about anything, like I said, that's slightly outside the box of what would be seen as normal role and behaviors of both the husband and wife in that kind of arranged marriage and a traditional marriage setting. Okay. All right. Well, that's us. It's 7:00. Holy moly. So time went by fast again, y'all. Now, honestly, I don't know if I'm doing a show the next week, because next Thursday is Christmas here. So I'm thinking probably not. But I do plan on doing a show on New Year's Eve, which is the following one. So for now, I'm thinking that probably not, but I'll check with Mary and Grizzly, and we definitely want to send out our gratitude and shout out to them. They, without them, this whole network wouldn't go. We wouldn't have a platform. So let's remember to keep them in our prayers and our hearts and send them all kinds of good energy for healing and prosperity and success in the new year. Ways that you can help them are by, ringing the bells and, liking, sharing, following, and spreading the word so more and more people know about our channels. So please do all that. But I'll check with them. My sense is, because it's Christmas and most people are doing stuff with their families and whatnot, and I'm going to be at dinner probably at friend's house. I'm thinking, I know I was invited. I just don't know what time dinner is. So I'm presuming next week, Christmas, we will not have a show on that Thursday, the 25th. But on New Year's Day, which is a New Year's Eve day, New Year's Eve, sorry, not New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, on that Thursday, the 31st, I am planning on having a show. And so we'll go from there, and we'll kind of reflect on 2025 and talk about manifesting and putting out intentions for 2026, and seeing what kind of blessings we can help each other manifest as we go forward. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you for participating on the stream and putting questions in the chats. Our goal here is to become the best possible versions we can as we go forward. So please, especially now, be kind to each other, be kind to yourself, share your light, shine that light, share your love, share your gifts, and have a positive impact to the best of your ability on everybody that you meet. Have a wonderful evening, y'all. Have a blessed week. Thank you again for tuning in. I love you all. I wish you the best. Have a Merry Christmas for those of you who celebrate Christmas. I know it's Hanukkah for some of our Jewish friends. Have a beautiful Hanukkah. If you're celebrating Kwanzaa, pagan stuff, or anything in between, please have a sacred, beautiful next couple of weeks, and I will see you all on New Year's Eve. Until then, this is Althea, and you've been watching Spiritual Street Talk with Althea Jacob. Thanks again, and have a great night. Bye now.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you.